Smatherinos and Ascenders of Help, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Video. Today we're going to be talking about my Runick Fiendsmith deck. So, today we have the main deck, the extra deck, a side deck, and field center. So, we're going to start with the main deck. Okay, couple things I need to get out of the way before we start this video. Because all of the Runick Quick Play spells have a set of 3 gimmicks that they all share across every card. 1. The Runick Quick Play spells will all skip your next battle phase. 2. The Runick Quick Play spell. They can also all special summon a Runick Fusion monster from your extra deck to the extra monster zone. 3. They will all banish cards of a certain number from the top of your opponent's deck. These are the 3 gimmicks that all of those cards share. I'm saying this now so I don't have to say it with every card. But starting off with the only non-Runick Quick Play spell I am playing in the deck, plus its extra substitute. This card is at a semi-limited status. This is Runick Fountain. You can activate Runick Quick Play spells from your hand, and bonus points, you can return up to 3 already in your graveyard of Runick Quick Play spells and draw up to 3 cards, depending on how many Quick Play spells you return. You just set them on the bottom of your deck, and then you get to draw an extra 3, meaning you can recycle a lot of your stuff, and it helps prevent getting duplicates play. Next, Runick Tip. Runick Tip is your first Quick Play spell. This will allow you to add any other Runick spell from your deck to your hand, meaning you can get your Runick Fountain, you can get Runick Freezing Curses, you can get another Runick Quick Play spell, as long as it's not this Runick spell card. And you'll banish the top card from your opponent's deck. Next, probably one of the most powerful cards in your entire deck, we have Runick Freezing Curses. Freezing Curses can negate 1 effect monster your opponent controls and banish the top 3 from your opponent's deck. Top 3 cards, sorry. I'm going to say the number of cards. I'm not going to just note they all do banish a certain quantity. Next, Runick Destruction. Runick Destruction can blow up 1 spell or trap your opponent controls, then banish the top 4 cards from your opponent's deck. So, this could be really good, and this one's really good for meta breaking right now, because Blue Eyes is meta. Malice players are starting to actually run the field spell with all 3 traps, meaning if you blow up the field spell, they lose their bonus, and then you can play around some of their more powerful monsters. It's very helpful. Next, Runick Slumber. So, Runick Slumber is good for 2 sets of things in the Runick strategy. 1, this is, if you draw this in your hand, this is probably one of the best cards you can play off of to get something like Hugin on the field, depending on what other cards are in your hand. But if you don't, you can go ahead and target 1 face-up monster on the field that it cannot attack or be destroyed by battle or card effects. And then you'll banish the top 3 cards from your opponent's deck. So, essentially, it cannot attack, it can't be destroyed by battle. And, yeah, so if you don't already get where that's going, say your opponent makes Access Code Talker, and then they beef it up by targeting one of the link monsters they use, you can just say, well, your access code can't attack, and on top of that, you get to banish 3 more cards. Runick Flashing Fire. This will target 1 special summon monster your opponent controls, blow it up on the field, then banish the top 2. Is it the top 2? Yeah, top 2 cards from your deck. Runick Dispelling. So, this one is very finicky. This is not one that you really want to play off of, but if your opponent adds a card or multiple cards from their deck to their hand, then you can activate this, make them discard 1, and banish 2 from the top of their deck. This one is just really good for getting another Runick fusion monster on the field. The other effect is so hyper-specific that there's really no point. Next, we have 2 copies of Runick Smithing Storm, up to the number of cards your opponent controls, meaning if they have full 5 monsters in their monster zones, 2 cards here, a field spell, and a monster in their extra monster zone, you can banish a high amount of cards. I wasn't counting how many cards that was. I think that was like 8 or 9-ish. But essentially, you can banish a large quantity of cards from your opponent's deck equal to the number of cards they control. Not just monsters, not just spells, not just traps, up to the number of cards they control. So, that is all for the Runick core. Well, other than the Runick fusion monsters, which we'll get into in just a little bit, there are no main deck Runick monsters. The entire archetype is literally just quick play spells. There is, so honorable mention to, I think it's called Runick Chalice and Runick Allure. Allure is a continuous spell that allows you to play one or banish one more card every time you make your opponent banish off the top of their deck. And Runick Chalice is just a Forbidden Chalice, but Runick archetype specific, and it gives you an extra banish. So, getting into the next set of cards, we are running 3 of the Fiendsmith Engraver. Fiendsmith Engraver is your main searcher. This is the best Fiendsmith, well, relatively speaking, the best Fiendsmith monster in the, probably. Best Fiendsmith monster in the archetype. This will allow you to discard it from your hand. Then you can go ahead and search one still on Runick, hold on here. One Fiendsmith spell or trap and add it from your deck to your hand. So you can search your Tract, you can search your Sanct, Paradise, Fiendsmith's Kyrie. You're honestly going to want to either search Sanct or Tract. I'm playing Sanct. So, because tracks are still relatively pricey, and no one has them for trade. Fabled Lurie. This one is just a generic, so this will fall into the section of playing generic light fiends. So, this is a solid 40-card deck. So, one thing I'm going to say is I'm playing just a set of generic light fiends. This one is the best and kind of an honorary Fiendsmith member, but essentially, if you're playing Tract, you can discard this from your hand as the cost for Fiendsmith Tract, and then you can summon it back to the field, because if it's discarded, it can special itself back from the grave. The rest of this, don't worry about any of the effects. They are literally all just generic light fiends that can be normal summoned, so you can make your Requiem and go into the rest of your Fiendsmith combo. So you just need any generic light fiends if you can find. Now, for these 2 level 4s, I'd recommend running Lacrimas, but I'm running the Adusted Golds because they're light fiends, and one of them is a promo copy. I think it should be this one right here. It's a promo. You can tell by the colored text. Next, into the Fiendsmith spell cards, which there are 2. I'm just running 2 Fiendsmith Sanct, so that way I have more chances of pulling Fiendsmith cards. There you go. That'll probably be 1 Sanct, 1 Tract at some point. Now, let's get into just some generic support, starting with our Crossout Designator. Do note, most of these are limited to 1. This is limited to 1, but essentially, if your opponent activates a card effect that, say it's like a hand trap, say they're activating Artifact Lancia, you can activate Crossout Designator, and then you can banish your copy of Artifact Lancia to negate theirs. Very useful, limited to 1, unfortunately. Actually, it was on the most recent ban list, funnily enough. Triple Tactics Talent. This one is follow-up, so say your opponent drops a hand trap, maybe a Mulch Army. Then you can either draw 2 cards, take control of a monster they control, or rip a card from their hand and put it back in their deck. Very useful. Sales ban. I happened to find this one copy in my collection. I was going through and reloading the trade binder. Sales ban will allow you to declare one card name. For the rest of the turn, your opponent can't activate it. But for the rest of the duel, you cannot activate that card effect, which I think is really dumb. It should be both players can't activate it for the rest of the duel. That would make it more fair and even compared to what it is now. Change of Heart. This guy is at 3. These two are limited. Another limited card is our Change of Heart. Change of Heart is mostly to counter Fiendsmith is used to make Wave High King Caesar a lot of the time, and this will either force a negate out of your opponent's Caesar or allow you to take their Caesar for an entire turn, and you'll rip all of the negates off of the card anyway because you've already taken it. Do note Caesar is just designed to be a distraction, so if your opponent, because they're trying to bait out a card like Nibiru the Primal Being, but if they get their Caesar on the field, it's also another piece of utility, but try and steal it with your Change of Heart. This is limited to 1 for obvious reasons. Now, this deck banishes a lot. Artifact Lancia's second effect is you can tribute it from the field or your hand, and neither player can banish cards for the rest of the turn. Meaning Artifact Lancia could be really annoying against this deck because none of your cards can really activate without you being able to banish cards on resolution. Or as it's part of the whole effect. And then we're running 3-Droll and Lockbird to keep our opponent from adding from their deck to their hand for an entire turn. Very, very good counterplay there. So, that is all the Fiendsmith and generic support. That's the main deck. Let's get into the extra deck. Now, typically, as if returning viewers would know, I typically place my Link monsters on the top of my extra deck. And yes, I do organize my extra deck. It keeps me from going crazy. But this time, I wanted to have Hugin, the Runick Wings, and all the fusion monsters on top, with the Link monsters later into the extra deck. Oh, and you are going to be running, I am running at least 3 tokens. One of your Runick monsters makes a token, alongside your Fiendsmith Sanct can also make a token, and one is just in case I get hit with something like Nibiru the Primal Being, I have a token so I don't have to borrow an opponent's. But we're starting off with 2 copies of Hugin. Hugin has 2 major effects that you can really utilize. One, when it's special summoned? Yeah, when this card is special summoned from the extra, you can discard 1 card and add a Runick field spell from your deck to your hand. Meaning, you discard 1 card and you get your Runick Fountain. If you discard, and the best play is to discard, assuming you have more than just 2 Runick quick play spells. You can discard that, then play a quick play spell and reset your spells. Also, I forgot to mention, Runick Fountain is a soft once per turn, meaning if you use her to search out another Runick Fountain and you have enough to continue on, in 1 turn you could cycle through 2 sets of 3 Runick quick play spells if you're playing it at maximum. However, I don't think the strategy can really do that. There. Next, we have Munin the Runick Wings. Munin can either search a continuous spell when special summoned by discarding. Oh, forgot to mention, Hugin can banish itself to protect a card on the field from being destroyed, because you banish it instead. There. Which, Munin has a negate and destroy upon banishment, but if your Munin stays on the field till the end phase, you'll gain 1,000 life points. That's the main effects of Munin. And then we have Gary. I don't know how to pronounce his name. The main one is any Runick non-quick play spell can be added from your graveyard to your hand, meaning you could bring back your Runick Fountain if your opponent does manage to blow it up. There. Next, this is I don't even know how to say that. Runick main. You can go ahead and this one is an in-archetype SP, meaning you can banish 2 cards until the end phase, or you can go ahead and create a token when this card when this card's attacked. Oh, that's a quick effect, right? Yeah, I think they're both quick effects. Yeah. If this card is added from the main deck. If cards are added from the main deck to your opponent's hand, except during damage step, you can special summon 1 Runick token. Okay, so essentially if your opponent adds from deck to hand, you can get a free Runick token on the field, which is just more defense. The stats for the token, I should probably say, are a very light level 4, attack 1500, defense 1500, in attack position. Why the hell would you summon that in attack position? It's really weird. I don't know why you'd want to summon a token like that in attack position. It's kind of weird. Then we have our Fiendsmith Desiree. Fiendsmith's Desiree is very iconic. This is probably one of the biggest meta cards at the time. Right now, however, most people are using Fiendsmith to make Caesar. Some people still do play into Desiree. But all you have to do is you attach up to, say you attach your Fiends, like your Sequence and your Agman Day, up to the total link rating, meaning that's a link 2, that's a link 3, you'd gain 5 card negates in your hand. So, this guy gains negates equal to the total link rating attached. Sorry, I'm a little all over the place with that one. My bad. Ugh. And if Fiendsmith's Desiree is destroyed, then you can return back 1 Fiendsmith link monster to your extra deck. So, helpful. There's your Desiree. Okay. So, next we have our Fiendsmith Requiem. This is how you start going into your Fiendsmith combos. Fiendsmith's Requiem is a Link 1 Light Fiend. This allows you to... Essentially, you tribute this, you special out either another engraver, maybe you play into Lacrima, the Crimson Tears, all up to you. And then you can also attach this to a Fiendsmith monster that is a non-link Fiendsmith monster, and it'll gain 600 attack. This is also link 1, so if you attach it to Desiree, it'll gain 1 on the gate. Next, we have Fiendsmith Sequence. This is how you fusion summon into all of your wonderful Fiendsmith monsters. So, all you have to do is from your grave have up to the equal amount in your graveyard, summon, use those materials, shuffle them back into your main deck and extra deck respectively to fusion summon into cards like Fiendsmith Desiree, Rex Tremende, Lacrima. Well, you can't make Lacrima, that one's banned. But that one is unfortunately banned, and I don't think it's coming back anytime soon due to the annoying burn strategies. But if this card is also... But you can also equip from the graveyard or field to a Fiendsmith Link monster, a non-link Fiendsmith monster. Meaning you equip it to Desiree, you equip it to your engraver, and it'll gain the effect of not being able to be targeted by your opponent's card effects other than Fiendsmith. I think it's other than Fiendsmith cards, right? Yeah. Oh, your opponent can't target the card with this equipped monster with card effects. Anyway, moving on. Moon of the Closed Haven. This one is literally, ignore this entire text box. It's a generic Link 2 that requires 2 effect monsters. It's a light fiend monster. You can use it to go into Requiem if you don't have just a bunch of generic light fiends. I put it in here as part of the Fiendsmith package just because it's part of the Fiendsmith package. And if I can't fully go into my Requiem properly, then I can go ahead and use her. to do so if I can at least get 2 monsters in the field. Next, we have Fiendsmith's Agman Day. This one is it's the link 3. So, you can special summon, so you can equip this to a Fiendsmith monster in your graveyard, and then it'll gain these 2 effects. 1, it'll gain attack equal to the... It'll gain attack... Can I stop? Breathe. Holy crap. Okay, it'll gain attack equal to the total link rating. The equipped monster will gain total attack equal to the total link rating times 600. There. And it can deal piercing damage. Okay. Now, I have Necro-equipped Princess in here. I totally plan on getting a copy of Wave High King Caesar. And you need this to make Caesar, because all you do is you equip this to a Fiendsmith engraver, you link them away, then you special the engraver, you overlay and make a rank 6 Caesar. Then we have SP Little Knight. This one is very simple. If I use any of these wonderful extra deck monsters to summon this, I can banish a card permanently from my opponent's field, and if I use when my opponent activates a card effect, I can quick effect, target, and banish till the end phase another monster. Meaning if I can stack an SP with, I think it's Sleipnir, or Sleipnir is that horse, the Runick main, you can do that. And then, of course, if your opponent's got a bunch of 3,000 or higher attack monsters that can just deal a whole bunch of annoying effects, just drop a Typhon on them as long as they've special summoned from their extra deck more than twice or more, and you can't normal or special summon for the rest of the turn. There you go. I do apologize, I'm not trying to choke on my words, but I talk so much without breathing all in one go when doing these. And it just doesn't work sometimes. I'm leaving that in because I have no decent way of editing videos. So that's the extra deck. Let's burn through the side deck real quick, and I want to show you just a quick combo real quick. I'm just going to load my hand because it's easier. Harpy's Feather Duster. Blow up all the spells and traps your opponent controls. Yes, that includes the field spell. Stop your opponent from adding from their graveyard, banishing from their graveyard, or specialing from their graveyard. Essentially, it's an Ash Blossom, but graveyard focused, right? Add cards from their graveyard to the hand deck or extra deck. Special summon a monster. Cards from the graveyard and banish cards from the graveyard. Yeah. And then Artifact Lancia. These are just extra Lancias, just in case, maybe you're going up against Malice, or you need more targets for your crossout designator. But it's the full Runick deck. We will put our extra deck, our side deck underneath here, and that's the side deck. It's very simple. The rest of them are very simple effects because most of them are just like extra hand traps that you don't run in the main deck. Now, let's get a good power shuffle going here, because I'm still going to have to do some sort of randomness. Always make sure to shuffle your deck before playing. Now there's 40 cards, so we'll add an extra one on here. So more even shuffling. Look at me go, I'm knocking stuff over. So make sure to then just pick them up in all different sorts of random order. I try to not go in a pattern, but try to kind of I mostly try to individually try and make sure that the corners always kind of go last, or at least relatively close to last, just because it's, it helps with the randomness, essentially. And it keeps a relatively easy system for me to remember. I don't need to stack. However, I'm not doing this to stack my deck. I'm not that fucking talented. Yay, I swore once. No, this video is not made for kids. Great. Well. little kids don't really play Yu-Gi-Oh! Most of it's like older teens to like 30 to 40-year-old adults. Make sure to get that. Make sure to get a good shuffle in there. I like to then cut my deck while I'm shuffling. Shuffle up like that. Then, since that's relatively shuffled, I'm just going to try and toss in some, like, we'll toss in that. We'll toss in an engraver. One of these. We just need another generic light fiend or something normal to be normal summoned for that, so that's fine. Then fifth one, I would say probably so you don't have to sacrifice another Runick quick play spell. I'd probably go with terraforming, to be honest. Here, just doing that, we're gonna do our freezing curses. Instead of running a freezing curses in our hand, we're gonna go ahead and do that. So then shuffle, cut. Okay. So the reason why you'd want a terraforming in your hand is because you'd want to, one, it helps bait out something like Ash Blossom or possibly Droll. More often than not, it's going to be Droll. Ash Blossom's not really played, but you'd search your Runick Fountain. Place your Runick Fountain in the spell and trap zone. From there, you're going to activate your Runick Dispelling. Since we've got the field spell, we're going to go ahead and go into Munin this time. Now, or hold on. No. You'd want to do, before you do that, you'd want to do Fiendsmith because you need the extra monster zone. Hold on. Hold that thought. Start by pitching your... Okay, after you've got your field spell, pitch your engraver, search. Now, this is where you search your tracked or your sanct, depending on which one you're playing. I'm playing sanct because I'm broke. Get your sanct, you play your sanct, you summon your token. Then you link away one. You link one away for your token, and the reason why I am actually running... Then you make Fiendsmith Requiem, you pop your Requiem in deck for, bonus points. If you draw a second engraver in your hand, you can special summon from hand and stop your opponent from like ashing your index summon, but we're going to summon out engraver from our deck. And we're going to normal summon, as you can see. Then we get our normal summon, link to. Then you make your sequence. Since you now have 3 light fiends, including the full materials to make, right? Because we can make Desiree. Yeah, Fiendsmith Engraver and 2 light fiend monsters. So we're going to make our Desiree by fusion summoning. Shuffle. Oh, no. Make sure to shuffle these guys in because your opponent may have an interruption and you still get your shuffle back. Don't do what I just did, essentially. Then you'd want to, yes, I know this is going to be weird, but you're going to link again. But you're going to make your Agman Day. Fiendsmith's Agman Day will attach here, attach to our Desiree. Desiree is going to be at 5,800, but it's not going to matter. And then you attach your sequence, so that's now 5 Omni Negates, and on top of that, you now still have this. But now you go into Munin. So then with this, make Munin. Then during the end phase, you'll start with your slow life point game. I forgot to plug my damn phone in. There. Then we're going to go Runick Tip. Runick Tip to search out a Runick Quick Play spell. This is where you search out probably your freeze. Yeah, you'd search out your freezing curses. And this is where you'd pass. Honestly, you didn't get enough like Runick Quick Play spells to honestly want to go into it, but now you have 2 to shuffle back. And then on the follow-up, you you freezing curses, you gain your 1,000 life points. You freezing curses, you negate monster effect, they banish top 3. This is where you chain your Runick Fountain, taking those 2, placing them on the bottom of your deck. That'll go to the grave, and then you draw an extra 2. And hope to sweet fuck you actually draw into any of your Runick quick play spells. But that is the full Runick deck. That's my full Runick Fiendsmith deck. I'd say it's pretty good. I am officially going to be testing it at a tournament tonight, so I should have my own personal results. Whether or not I make a video talking about the results is a whole other thing. I know I'm not going to be filming on location, because that's just too much of a hassle, to be 100% honest. It's really crammed at my locals. So, with that, I've been Smatherini. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.